Good morning, everyone. I would like to welcome you to the America 250 Edison commemorative reading of the Declaration of Independence. I am Rob. Oh, all right. I am Robert Kentos, a member of the Township Council and co-chair of the America 250 Celebration Committee. I'm also the current president of the Metuchen Edison Historic Society. I'm a lifelong resident of this part of town, and my family has lived here for over 300 years. 250 years ago, this part of Edison was Piscataway Township. Woodbridge Avenue was the post road, and where we are now was the Colonial Commons. And across the street, right behind me, was the Hopewell Tavern. That house was removed some time ago. And across from the Commons is the Dunham House, which still stands today. The house over there with the two chimneys. That is one of the oldest houses in Edison Township. 250 years ago, the past 2 weeks were revolutionary times here in Edison, New Jersey. On June 19th, the Royal Governor, William Franklin, was arrested by the militia in Perth Amboy, and on July 2nd, the Provincial Congress meeting in Burlington declared NJ independent from Britain and passed a new constitution that gave every adult the right to vote, and even women. Then on July 4th in Philadelphia, the Continental Congress of the 13 colonies adopted the Declaration of Independence, and we became the independent 13 United States. By July 8th, printed copies of the Declaration of Independence traveled up the Post Road, being read at stops along the way, arriving in New York City late on July 9th, where General George Washington ordered it read to the public. I can imagine my ancestors gathering here in the Commons on the Post Road in front of the tavern 250 years ago to hear the words that changed the world. A people declaring their independence and freedom from the monarchy with courage to say to the world, "We the people can govern ourselves." I would now like to introduce Mayor Sam Joshi of Edison to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. What a beautiful day to celebrate America's 250th anniversary right here, where 22 Revolutionary War soldiers happen to be buried as well. And to one of the hosts, Rob Kentos, a council member, council vice president, it's truly an honor that you're on the council this year right now, knowing how much history you have and your family has, not just with this site, but with all of Edison Township, and we're truly proud of you as well. Thank you for your contributions.
Thank you.
This is a terrific start to our full day of events for recognizing America's 250th anniversary. Edison has played a significant role in nearly every single decade from the Revolutionary War all the way till now. And it's something that we are incredibly proud of, and we want to continue to make sure that we memorialize and remember everything there is, because I firmly believe that you only know where you're going if you know where you came from. And knowing where we came from, all the trials and tribulations of how America was started and what our principles are means so much. And that's the fabric of how Edison Township became what it is today. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mayor. I would now like to introduce the Edison residents who will be reading the Declaration. First will be Mayor Sam Joshi, followed by Robert Deal, followed by Virginia White, Joan McNichols, Charles Blackman, Kelly Dima, Sally Abra, Thomas White, and Chris, I hope I get this right, Saverda. Walter? Oh, look at this. I believe Charles here is handing me the Declaration of Independence.
From Philadelphia.
From Philadelphia. Oh. Here, I'll unfurl it for the...
In Congress, July 4th, 1776, the unanimous Declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the power of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and the nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind, which requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light or transient causes. And accordingly, all experience has shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let the facts be submitted to a candid world.
He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has forbidden his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained. And when so suspended, he has utterly neglected to attend to them. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people, unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only.
He has called together legislative bodies at places unusual, uncomfortable, and distant from the depository of their public records for the sole purpose of fatiguing them into compliance with his measures. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with manly firmness his invasion on the rights of the people. He has refused for a long time, after such dissolutions, to cause others to be elected, whereby the legislative powers, incapable of annihilation, have returned to the people at large for their exercise, the state remaining in the meantime exposed to all the dangers of invasion from without and convulsions from within. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these states for that purpose, obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners, refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither, and raising the conditions of new appropriations of land.
He has obstructed the administration of justice by refusing his assent to laws for establishing judicial powers. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislatures. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power.
He has combined with others to subject us to a jurisdiction foreign to our Constitution and unacknowledged by our laws, giving his assent to their acts of pretend legislation, for quartering large bodies of armed troops among us, for protecting them by a mock trial from punishment for any murders which they should commit on the inhabitants of these states, for cutting off our trade with all parts of the world, for imposing taxes on us without our consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefits of trial by jury, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretend offenses.
For abolishing the free system of English laws in the neighboring province, establishing therein an arbitrary government, and enlarging its boundaries so as to render it at once an example and fit instrument for introducing the same absolute rule into these colonies, for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the forms of our governments, for suspending our legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. He has abdicated our government here by declaring us out of his protection and waging war against us. He has plundered our seas, ravaged our coast, burned our towns, and destroyed the lives of our people.
He is at this time transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny, already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. He has constrained our fellow citizens, taken captive on the high seas to bear arms against their country, to become the executioners of their friends and brethren, or to fall themselves by their hands. He has excited domestic insurrections amongst us, and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers, the merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is an undistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. In every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been answered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. Nor have we been wanting in attentions to our British brethren. We have warned them from time to time of attempts by their legislature to extend unwarrantable jurisdiction over us. We have reminded them of circumstances of our immigration and settlement here. We have appealed to their native justice and magnanimity, and we have conjured them by the ties of our common kindred to disavow these usurpations, which would inevitably interrupt our connections and correspondence. They too have been deaf to the voice of justice and of consanguinity. We must therefore acquiesce in the necessity which denounces our separation, and hold them as we hold the rest of mankind, enemies in war, in peace friends.
We, therefore, the representatives of the United States of America, in General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in the name and by authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved. And that is free and independent states. They have full powers to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and do all other acts and things which independent states may have right do. In full support of this declaration, with a firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, we mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor.
Next, I'd like to welcome up Walter Stolschel.
Thank you, Rob. I'm Walt Stolschel, and I would like to thank all our speakers here. They did an excellent job. And we are inspired today from these words of 250 years ago as our forefathers were inspired by them. I'm the co-chair of the committee, and this concludes our commemorative reading of the Declaration of Independence. I'd like to thank the mayor, the council, the Edison Public Works, Edison Recreation, and everybody who had participated in creating this event. For those who want to stay here, I will lead us on a procession to see some of the graves of the Revolutionary War soldiers. 22 of them are buried here. And Edison's July 4th is just starting. This evening at 7:30 at Lake Papiani Park, there'll be the band, I think it's the Bon Jovi Journey, is it? Yes. And then at 9:15, the fireworks will start, hoping the weather holds out for us. It's going to be beautiful the rest of the day. The next event actually is at 2:30 at the Danish Home on New Durham Road by Route 287. They'll do a bell ringing at 2:50 and 2:50. The bell is going to be running at 2:50. So if you want to participate in a nationwide bell ringing at 2:50, go to the Danish Home. So that concludes our program today. On this historic day, America's 250th birthday. Thank you all for coming.